Captain Jake Miller stood on the bridge of the New Horizon, watching the stars through the large viewing window. His ship was one of many patrol vessels that protected the outer colonies from pirates and smugglers. The work was usually quiet, which Jake preferred. He had been doing this job for 8 years now, ever since he left Earth to help protect humanity's growing presence in the galaxy. "Captain, we're getting a message from home," said Lieutenant Kate Brown, his communications officer. She was young but smart, and Jake trusted her to handle the ship's communications well. "Which home?" Jake asked. Many of the crew members came from different colony worlds, so home could mean a lot of places. "Earth, sir. It's from Admiral Sam Roberts himself." Jake raised his eyebrows. Admiral Roberts was the head of Earth's planetary defense coordination. He rarely sent messages directly to colony ships unless something important was happening. "Put it through to my ready room. I'll take it privately." Jake walked to his small office behind the bridge and sat down at his desk. The screen lit up, showing Admiral Roberts sitting in what looked like an underground office. The Admiral was in his 60s with gray hair and calm eyes that seemed to see everything. "Captain Miller," the Admiral said, "I hope you and your crew are well. I'm sending this message to all colonial defense ships. We have a situation developing." Jake leaned forward. Earth rarely had situations that required colonial help. The home planet was peaceful, focused on growing food and making laws for the colonies. Most of the fighting happened out here on the rim worlds. "We've been watching an alien force called the Zephyrian Empire," Admiral Roberts continued. "They've been attacking our outer colonies for the past 2 months. They move fast and hit hard. We believe they're planning something bigger." Jake had heard about the attacks. 3 colonies had gone silent in the past month. Each time, rescue, ships found nothing but empty buildings and destroyed defense systems. No bodies, no survivors, no clues about where the people had gone. Dr. Lisa Grant was having a bad day on the research station orbiting Kepler 442b. She was a xenobiologist, which meant she studied alien life forms. Usually this involved looking at strange plants and small animals that the colonists found. Today, she was looking at something much more serious. "These energy readings don't make sense," she said to her assistant, a young man named Peter Clark. "The Zephyrians hit the colony on Tau Ceti last week. But look at these scans from their ships." Peter looked at the data on her screen. "What am I supposed to see?" "Their weapons are more advanced than we thought. Way more advanced. If they have ships this powerful, why are they only hitting small colonies? Why not go for something bigger?" Peter shrugged. "Maybe they're testing us? Seeing how we respond?" Lisa frowned. That would make sense, but it also made her worried. If the Zephyrians were testing human defenses, they might be planning a major attack, and the biggest target would be obvious. Far away, in a massive ship floating in dark space, Commander Alex Turner studied holographic displays showing human colony worlds. He was tall and thin, with blue skin and large black eyes. His species, the Zephyrians, had been conquering other races for over 1,000 years. "The humans are weaker than we expected," said his second-in-command, a female named Vera Nash. "Their colony defenses are basic. A few ships, some ground weapons, nothing special." Turner nodded. "And their response time is slow. When we attack a colony, it takes days for help to arrive. Sometimes weeks." "What about their home world, Earth?" Turner brought up a new display showing the Sol system. Earth appeared as a blue and green dot, surrounded by a few orbital stations and some patrol ships. "Our scouts report minimal defenses," Turner said. "The humans seem to use Earth as a farming world now. Most of their military is spread out protecting the colonies. If we strike at Earth directly, we can end this war before it really begins." Vera smiled, showing sharp teeth. "The humans will surrender when we hold their birth world." "Exactly. Prepare the fleet. We attack in 3 days." Back on Earth, Admiral Roberts walked through the halls of the Defense Coordination Center. The center was built deep underground beneath the Swiss mountains. Most people on Earth didn't even know it existed. They thought the planet's defenses were run from a small office building in Geneva. Robert stopped at a large metal door marked Restricted access. He placed his hand on a scanner, and the door opened with a soft hiss. Inside was a room filled with screens, computers, and people wearing military uniforms. "Report," Robert said to the woman in charge of the room, Colonel Nancy Bell. "Zephyrian. Fleet is gathering at the edge of their territory," Bell said. 300 ships including their biggest dreadnoughts. They're loading supplies for a long journey. Destination? Unknown, but our analysts think they're coming here. All the signs point to a major attack on Earth. Roberts nodded calmly. "How long until they arrive?" "If they leave tomorrow, 4 days. Maybe 5 if they're being careful." "Good. That gives us time to make final preparations. Send the activation codes to all stations. It's time to wake up the defenses." Bell smiled. "Yes, sir. Should we warn the colonies?" "Send out the standard alert. Tell our ships to come home if they can, but don't explain why. Not yet." Roberts left the restricted room and walked to another door. This one led to an elevator that went down much deeper into the mountain. As the elevator descended, he thought about the past 200 years of human history. When humans first reached the stars, they had been weak and unprepared. Other alien races had been traveling space for thousands of years. Humans were new, small, and easy to push around. But humans learned quickly. They learned that being spread out across many worlds made them hard to destroy completely. They also learned that sometimes the best defense was to look weak while being very, very strong. The elevator stopped and Robert stepped out into a massive underground chamber. The room was filled with weapons, computers, and military equipment that most humans had never seen. Technicians in white coats moved between the machines, checking systems and running tests. "Admiral on deck," someone called out, and everyone stopped working to salute. "As you were," Robert said. "Begin final system checks. We may have visitors soon." Earth looked peaceful from space. Green continents, blue oceans, white clouds drifting slowly across the surface. Thousands of ships came and went every day, carrying food to the colonies and bringing back raw materials. It looked like a quiet, farming world that had grown soft and comfortable. That was exactly what Earth wanted everyone to think. The alarm started ringing at exactly 800 hours Earth Standard Time. Every human ship within 50 light-years received the same message. Emergency. All colonial defense vessels return to Sol system immediately. Priority Alpha. Captain Jake. Miller was drinking coffee when the message came through. He nearly dropped his cup when he heard Priority Alpha. That code hadn't been used in over 30 years. "Kate, confirm that message," he said to his communications officer. Lieutenant Kate. Brown checked her equipment twice. "Confirmed, Captain, it's really Priority Alpha. All ships are ordered home." Jake looked out at the stars and made a quick decision. "Set course for Earth, maximum speed." "Sir, that will take us 4 days, even pushing the engines hard," said his navigator, Ensign Tony Walsh. "Then we better get started. Engine room, give me everything you've got." The New Horizon wasn't the only ship turning toward Earth. Across the galaxy, hundreds of human vessels received the same order and began the long journey home. Most captains didn't know why they were being called back. They just knew that Priority Alpha meant Earth was in serious danger. Dr. Lisa Grant was running final checks on her equipment when her research station's computer started making noise. Warning signals flashed red across her screens. "Peter, are you seeing this?" she called to her assistant. Peter Clark rushed over to look at her displays. "What is it?" "Massive energy signatures. Something big just entered normal space at the edge of the Zephyrian territory." Lisa's fingers moved quickly over her controls, trying to get a better reading. "It's not just one ship, it's hundreds of them." "Could it be a trade convoy?" "No way. Look at these power readings. These are warships. Big ones." Lisa felt her stomach turn cold. They're moving toward human space. The Zephyrian invasion fleet was impressive to see. 300 ships of various sizes moved through space in perfect formation. At the center were 5 massive dreadnoughts, each one the size of a small city. Around them flew dozens of heavy cruisers and destroyers. Smaller ships filled the gaps between the larger vessels like a school of metal fish. Commander Alex Turner stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the fleet move forward. Every ship was at full power, their weapons charged and ready. His people had spent months planning this attack. "How long until we reach the human home system?" Turner asked his navigation officer. 3 days and 18 hours at current speed, Commander. "And our scouts report no change in Earth's defenses?" "Correct, sir. The planet shows minimal military activity. A few orbital stations, some patrol ships, nothing that could stop us." Turner smiled. The humans had made a classic mistake. They had spread their forces too thin, trying to protect too many worlds at once. Now their home planet was almost defenseless. "Send a message to all ship captains," Turner ordered. "We attack as planned, fast and hard, no mercy." On Earth, the emergency command center was busier than it had been in decades. Admiral Sam Roberts stood in front of a huge display showing the entire Sol system. Red dots marked the positions of human ships returning home. Blue dots showed Earth's known defenses. But there were other dots on the screen, hidden ones that only a few people knew about. "Sir, the Zephyrian fleet just entered hyperspace," reported Colonel Nancy Bell. "They're definitely coming here." "Expected arrival time?" "Less than 4 days." Roberts nodded and turned to address the room full of officers and technicians. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is what we've been preparing for. Begin activation sequence for all hidden installations." Across the Sol system, things that had been sleeping for decades began to wake up. On the moon, massive doors that looked like natural craters started to open. In the asteroid belt, mining stations that had been working for years began to show their true purpose. Near Jupiter and Saturn, what looked like research stations revealed weapon systems that had been hidden. For over a century, Earth itself began to change. Satellites that everyone thought were for communications or weather monitoring started extending weapon arrays. The International Space Station, which tourists visited every day, opened compartments that held enough firepower to destroy a small fleet. Most Earth citizens didn't notice these changes. The news still talked about crop reports and trade agreements. People went to work, children went to school, and life seemed normal. But those who knew what to look for could see the truth. Earth was not the peaceful farming world it appeared to be. Captain Jake Miller pushed his ship harder than he had ever pushed it before. The New Horizon was not built for speed, but his engineering team was working miracles to get every bit of power from the engines. "Captain, we're getting reports from other ships," said Lieutenant Kate Brown. "Everyone's heading home, but most won't arrive for at least 5 days. What about the heavy cruisers, the battleships?" "The Iron Eagle and Star Defender are 3 days out, but the main fleet won't arrive for a week." Jake felt frustrated. If Earth was under attack, the colonial defense ships wouldn't arrive in time to help. Whatever was happening, Earth would have to handle it alone. Dr. Lisa Grant couldn't sleep. Her instruments showed the Zephyrian fleet getting closer to human space every hour. She had tried to contact Earth to warn them, but all she got back was a standard message saying her report had been received and forwarded to the proper authorities. "This doesn't make sense," she said to Peter as they watched the approaching fleet on their screens. "Earth has to know about this. Why aren't they evacuating people? Why aren't they calling for help?" "Maybe they have a plan," Peter suggested. "What kind of plan could handle 300 warships?" Peter shrugged. "I don't know. But Earth has been our home for thousands of years. Maybe they know something we don't." Lisa stared at the display showing the Zephyrian fleet. The alien ships were massive and heavily armed. Earth's known defenses wouldn't last an hour against them. But something nagged at her mind. Earth's government wasn't acting like they were about to be destroyed. They were acting like they were ready for something. Commander Turner received daily reports as his fleet moved toward Earth. Human colony ships were racing back to their home system, but most would arrive too late. A few Earth patrol ships had moved to defensive positions, but they were laughably small compared to his fleet. "The humans are not even trying to evacuate their planet," reported his intelligence officer. "Civilian traffic continues as normal. No signs of panic or preparation." "They must know we're coming," Turner said. "Our scouts have been watching them for months. Perhaps they're planning to surrender without a fight?" Turner considered this. It would be unusual, but humans were known to be practical. Maybe they realized they couldn't win and decided to save lives by giving up quickly. "Maintain course," Turner ordered. But stay alert. I don't trust anything that seems too easy. Back on Earth, Admiral Roberts stood in his deep underground command center, watching the final preparations. Systems that had been built in secret over 2 centuries were coming online. Weapons that had never been tested in combat were charging their power cells. The greatest defense system ever created by any species was about to be put to the test. All stations report ready, Admiral, said Colonel Bell. Good. Send a message to the approaching fleet. Give them one chance to turn around. What should the message say? Roberts thought for a moment. Tell them they have entered restricted space. Tell them to turn back now. That's all. Sir, they won't listen to that. I know, Roberts said quietly. But we have to give them the chance. After that, what happens is their choice. The message was sent on all frequencies in dozens of languages. It was simple and direct. You have entered restricted space. Turn back now. The Zephyrian fleet received the message and ignored it. To them, it sounded like the desperate plea of a defenseless world. They had no idea what Earth had waiting for them. The Zephyrian fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system like a storm cloud blotting out the stars. 300 warships arranged themselves in attack formation, their weapons powered and ready. Commander Alex Turner stood on his flagship's bridge, looking at the tactical display that showed the human home system spread out before them. Initial scan complete, Commander, reported his sensor officer. The system appears lightly defended, as expected. We detect approximately 30 patrol ships and several orbital stations around the 3rd planet. Turner nodded with satisfaction. Earth's defenses were exactly what his scouts had reported, minimal and outdated. The humans had clearly put all their military strength into protecting the outer colonies, leaving their home world vulnerable. Any sign of the colonial fleet returning? Turner asked. Long-range sensors show several human ships approaching, but they won't arrive for at least 3 days. Most are still 4 or 5 days out. Perfect, we'll have Earth captured long before help arrives. Turner turned to his communications officer. Signal the fleet. Begin approach to the inner system. Maintain battle formation. The massive alien fleet began moving toward Earth, covering the distance between planets with frightening speed. Turner watched the tactical display, noting how the human patrol ships scattered before his advance. A few tried to form defensive lines, but they were so outnumbered that their efforts seemed pointless. Dr. Lisa Grant watched the invasion begin from her research station many light years away. Her long-range sensors could barely detect what was happening in the Sol system, but the energy signatures were unmistakable. The Zephyrian fleet was attacking Earth. Peter, are you recording all of this? She asked her assistant. Yes, but I don't understand what I'm seeing, Peter Clark replied, staring at his instruments. The energy readings from Earth are strange. Lisa looked at her own displays. Peter was right. While the Zephyrian fleet showed the expected power signatures of warships, Earth was showing something else entirely. Massive energy buildups were appearing throughout the Sol system, but not from the known defense stations. These readings are coming from empty space, Lisa said, checking her equipment again. That can't be right. Maybe our instruments are broken? All of them? At the same time? Lisa shook her head. No, something else is happening, something big. Captain Jake Miller was still 2 days away from Earth when the attack began. His communications officer, Lieutenant Kate Brown, was monitoring all the emergency channels trying to get information about what was happening at home. Captain, I'm picking up scattered reports, Kate said. Looks like a massive alien fleet just entered the Sol system. 300 ships, maybe more. Jake felt his stomach drop. Any word from Earth Command? Just the standard emergency broadcasts. They're telling all civilian traffic to clear the shipping lanes and move to designated safe zones. That's it? No call for help? No evacuation orders? Kate checked her communications again. No, sir. If I didn't know better, I'd say Earth Command isn't worried about this attack. Jake stared out at the stars, trying to understand what was happening. Earth was about to be attacked by a massive alien fleet, but the government wasn't panicking. Either they had a plan or they had given up completely. Jake hoped it was the first option. On Earth, Admiral Sam Roberts stood calmly in the deep command center, watching the Zephyrian fleet approach on the main display. Around him, dozens of officers and technicians worked at their stations, monitoring systems that most of humanity didn't even know existed. Enemy fleet has crossed the orbit of Neptune, reported Colonel Nancy Bell. They're maintaining formation and heading directly for Earth. Estimated time to weapons range? 14 hours at current speed. Roberts nodded. Begin Phase 1 activation. Bring all outer perimeter systems online. Throughout the Sol system, changes began to happen that the Zephyrian fleet couldn't detect. Near Neptune, what looked like an automated research station started, extending hidden antenna arrays. In the asteroid belt, mining platforms that had been working for decades began rotating to reveal weapon systems built into their hulls. The humans had learned an important lesson from studying other alien civilizations. The best weapons were the ones your enemy never saw coming. For over 200 years, Earth had been building defenses that looked like something else entirely. Commander Turner was pleased with his fleet's progress. The human patrol ships had retreated to defensive positions around Earth, but they posed no real threat. A few orbital defense platforms were powering up their weapons, but Turner's heavy ships could destroy them easily. Commander, we're detecting some unusual energy signatures from various points in the system, his sensor officer reported. What kind of signatures? Unknown, sir. They appear to be coming from civilian installations, mining stations, research, platforms, that sort of thing. Turner considered this. Probably just power plants going to emergency mode. The humans are likely shutting down civilian operations to focus power on their defenses. Should we investigate? No need. Even if they're hiding a few extra weapons, they can't possibly have enough firepower to threaten us. Continue the approach. The Zephyrian fleet moved deeper into the Sol system, passing through the asteroid belt without incident. Turner noted that many of the mining stations had stopped working and were now drifting quietly in space. This made sense. The miners would have fled when they detected his fleet approaching. What Turner didn't realize was that the mining stations hadn't been abandoned. They had been activated. Dr. Lisa Grant was getting more confused by the minute. Her instruments were showing massive energy buildups throughout the Sol system, but the Zephyrian fleet seemed unaware of them. Either her equipment was completely broken, or something was being hidden from the alien sensors. Peter, run a full diagnostic on all our sensors, she ordered. Already did. 3 times. Everything checks out perfectly. Lisa stared at her displays. According to her readings, there were dozens of high-energy sources scattered throughout the Sol system. Not small ones either. These were readings that suggested massive weapon systems or power plants. But the Zephyrians weren't reacting to them at all. It's like they can't see what we're seeing, she said quietly. Maybe they can't, Peter suggested. Maybe the humans have some kind of stealth technology. Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. If Earth had hidden weapons throughout the Sol system, weapons powerful enough to generate the energy signatures she was detecting, then the Zephyrian fleet might be flying into a trap. Admiral Roberts watched the enemy fleet approach Earth's orbit. The Zephyrians were acting exactly as his analysts had predicted, overconfident and focused only on the obvious targets. They couldn't see the true strength of Earth's defenses because those defenses had been designed to be invisible. Enemy fleet will reach the moon's orbit in 6 hours, Colonel Bell reported. Excellent. That's exactly where we want them. Roberts turned to address the command center. All stations prepare for Phase 2 activation. This is not a drill. Around the Sol system, hundreds of hidden installations began their final preparations. Weapon systems that had been disguised as civilian equipment for decades started charging their power cells. Defense platforms built into asteroids opened concealed launch tubes. Even Earth's moon began to show its true nature, as massive doors opened in what had looked like natural craters. The International Space Station, which thousands of tourists had visited over the years, split open like a flower to reveal arrays that could destroy a battleship. Communications satellites extended gun barrels that had been hidden in their sensor arrays. Weather monitoring stations showed their true purpose as they powered up targeting systems. Earth had spent 2 centuries preparing for this moment. Every piece of civilian infrastructure in the Sol system had been designed to serve a dual purpose. Every mining station, research platform, and communications relay had been built to hide weapons that could defend humanity's home. Commander Turner was beginning to feel uneasy. His fleet was now close enough to Earth to detect the planet's surface features, but his sensors were also picking up more of those strange energy signatures. They seemed to be coming from everywhere. Space stations, orbital platforms, even the planet's moon. "Sir, I'm reading massive power buildups throughout the system," his sensor officer reported, sounding worried for the first time. "From where?" "That's just it, sir. The signatures are coming from installations we've already scanned. Civilian targets that showed no military capability." Turner studied his tactical display more carefully. The energy readings were definitely there, and they were getting stronger by the hour, but his instruments couldn't identify what was generating them. Could the humans have some kind of stealth technology? "Unknown, sir. Our intelligence reports never mentioned anything like this." Turner made a decision. "Signal all ships to increase. Scanning power. I want to know what we're looking at." But it was already too late. The Zephyrian fleet had moved deep into the Sol system, surrounded by weapons they couldn't see and didn't understand. Earth had been patient, had waited for the perfect moment, and now the trap was ready to be sprung. In the deep command center beneath the Swiss mountains, Admiral, the transformation of the Sol system began with Earth's moon. Commander Alex Turner watched in horror as what he had thought was a natural satellite split open along hidden seams. Massive weapon arrays emerged from craters that had fooled alien observers for over a century. Railguns the size of skyscrapers extended from the lunar surface, their barrels pointing directly at his fleet. "What in the name of the void is that?" Turner shouted at his sensor officer. "Unknown, Commander. The moon is... It's not what we thought it was." But the moon was just the beginning. Throughout the Sol system, the truth about Earth's defenses revealed itself in a display that would have been beautiful if it wasn't so terrifying. Asteroids that had seemed like simple rocks opened up to show missile launchers built into their cores. Mining stations that had appeared to be civilian operations rotated to reveal massive plasma cannons hidden beneath their hulls. Near Jupiter, research platforms that had been studying the gas giant for decades extended weapon systems that dwarfed anything in the Zephyrian fleet. Saturn's rings themselves seemed to come alive as hundreds of hidden defense satellites activated their targeting systems. Even the space around Earth transformed. The International Space Station, which had welcomed tourists for generations, unfolded, like a metal flower to reveal enough firepower to level a city. Communication satellites shed their peaceful disguises and became gun platforms. Weather monitoring stations powered up targeting computers that had been hidden for over 200 years. Turner's tactical officer was shouting numbers that made no sense. "Sir, I count over 800 separate weapon installations. Power readings are off the scale." "That's impossible. Our scouts have been watching this system for months." Dr. Lisa Grant watched the spectacle from her distant research station with a mixture of awe and terror. Her instruments were going crazy as massive energy signatures bloomed throughout the Sol system. What she was seeing was beyond anything she had imagined possible. "Peter, are you recording this?" she asked her assistant. Peter Clark was staring at his screen with his mouth open. "Lisa, this is incredible. The humans didn't just build defenses on Earth, they built them everywhere. The entire system is one giant weapon." Lisa understood now why Earth's government hadn't panicked when the Zephyrian fleet arrived. They hadn't been caught unprepared. They had been ready for this moment for centuries. Captain Jake Miller was still racing toward Earth when Lieutenant Kate Brown called out from her communications station. "Captain, you need to see this. I'm getting energy readings from the Sol system that don't make any sense." Jake looked at the display Kate was showing him. The readings suggested that Earth had just activated enough weapons to destroy 1,000 enemy ships, but that was impossible. Earth was a peaceful world focused on farming and government. "Kate, check your equipment. These readings can't be right." "I've checked everything 3 times, sir. Either our instruments are completely broken, or Earth just revealed the most powerful defense system in the galaxy." Jake stared at the readings, trying to process what he was seeing. If these numbers were correct, Earth wasn't the defenseless target the Zephyrians thought it was. Earth was a trap that had been waiting for someone to spring it. Admiral Sam Roberts stood calmly in his command center, watching the Zephyrian fleet react to Earth's revelation. The alien ships were breaking formation, their commanders clearly panicking as they realized they were surrounded by weapons they couldn't even see coming. "All weapon systems report ready, Admiral," Colonel Nancy Bell announced. "Excellent. Signal all stations to target the enemy fleet. Fire on my command." Roberts had spent his entire career preparing for this moment. He had studied every alien invasion in galactic history, learning from the mistakes of worlds that had fallen to superior forces. The key lesson was simple: never let your enemy see your true strength until it was too late for them to escape. Earth had learned that lesson. Well, for over 2 centuries, humanity had built the ultimate defense system while appearing completely helpless. Every civilian installation in the Sol system had been designed to hide military capabilities. Every space station, every satellite, every piece of seemingly innocent equipment was actually part of a vast network of weapons that could destroy any threat to Earth. Commander Turner was trying desperately to salvage the situation. His fleet was trapped in the middle of the Sol system, surrounded by weapons that seemed to have appeared from nowhere. "All ships, emergency retreat," he ordered. "Get us out of here." But retreat was easier ordered than accomplished. The Zephyrian fleet had entered the Sol system in a tight formation designed for attacking a weak target. Now they were bunched together in the perfect position for Earth's weapons to destroy them efficiently. "Sir, the humans are targeting us," his weapons officer reported. "Massive energy buildups detected from dozens of installations." Turner looked at his tactical display and felt his blood turn cold. Red targeting indicators were appearing all around his fleet. Not just a few, but hundreds of them. Every weapon system in the Sol system was locking onto his ships. Evasive maneuvers. All ships scatter and retreat at maximum speed. But it was too late. Earth had waited for the perfect moment, and now the trap was sprung. The first shots came from the lunar surface. Railguns that had been hidden for centuries fired projectiles at a significant fraction of light speed. The metal slugs, accelerated by magnetic fields more powerful than anything the Zephyrians had ever seen, tore through the alien dreadnoughts like they were made of paper. Turner watched in horror as his flagship's sister ship simply disintegrated under the impact of a lunar railgun. One moment it was there, a massive dreadnought bristling with weapons. The next moment it was expanding, cloud of debris. The asteroid belt joined the attack next. Mining charges that had been placed over decades detonated in perfectly timed sequences, creating walls of high-speed debris that shredded any ship unlucky enough to be caught in the blast zones. What the Zephyrians had thought was a navigation hazard revealed itself as a carefully orchestrated killing field. Plasma weapons disguised as communication arrays opened fire from Jupiter and Saturn, turning the vacuum of space into a hell of superheated gas. Energy beams that could melt steel at 1,000 kilometers reached across the solar system to burn through Zephyrian armor like it was tissue paper. Even Earth's orbital traffic control system revealed its true nature, launching missiles that had been hidden in what looked like civilian cargo containers. The Zephyrians found themselves under attack from weapons they had dismissed as harmless infrastructure. Turner's fleet was being destroyed piece by piece, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. His ships were designed to fight other fleets in open space, not to survive in a system where every piece of civilian equipment was actually a weapon in disguise. "Sir, we've lost 40% of the fleet," his tactical officer reported. "The humans have weapons everywhere. We can't escape." Turner realized with growing horror that his invasion force was doomed. The humans hadn't just prepared defenses for Earth. They had turned their entire home system into a weapon. Every asteroid, every space station, every satellite was part of a defense network that had been centuries in the making. Dr. Lisa Grant watched the battle from her distant observation post, recording everything her instruments could detect. What she was seeing would change how every species in the galaxy thought about humanity. "Peter, are you understanding what we're watching?" she asked. "I think so," Peter replied, his voice filled with awe. The humans didn't just defend Earth. They defended their entire system. Every single piece of civilian infrastructure was actually a weapon waiting to be activated. Lisa nodded. The tactical implications were staggering. Every human colony, every space station, every seemingly peaceful installation might be hiding similar capabilities. The galaxy had been thinking of humans as a young, weak species, but what if they were wrong? What if humans were the most dangerous species anyone had ever encountered? The battle, if it could even be called that, lasted only 6 hours. When it was over, the Zephyrian invasion fleet had been completely destroyed. Not a single alien ship escaped to carry word back to their empire. The wreckage drifted through the Sol system like a monument to the folly of underestimating humanity. Admiral Roberts stood in his command center, watching the cleanup operations begin. Automated systems were already collecting the debris while rescue ships searched for any survivors they could take prisoner. "Casualty report?" Roberts asked. "0 human casualties, sir," Colonel Bell reported. "We didn't lose a single ship or station. The enemy never got close enough to damage our defenses." Roberts nodded with satisfaction. Earth's defenses had worked exactly as designed. The Zephyrians had been so focused on the obvious targets that they never saw the real weapons until it was too late. But the battle was over, and now came the more important task: sending a message to the galaxy about what happened when someone threatened humanity's home. The silence after the battle was almost as shocking as the battle itself. Where 300 Zephyrian warships had threatened Earth just hours before, now only debris drifted through space. The Sol system's hidden weapons had returned to their disguised positions, once again looking like innocent civilian installations. Admiral Sam Roberts stood before the main communication array in Earth's deep command center. Around him, dozens of screens showed the aftermath of the battle. Cleanup crews were already at work, collecting wreckage and searching for any alien survivors. But more importantly, the quantum communication network was ready to broadcast Earth's message to every inhabited world in the galaxy. "Are we ready to transmit?" Roberts asked his communications officer. "Yes, sir. All networks are online. Every human colony will receive this message, and it will also broadcast on the general galactic frequencies. Everyone will hear it." Roberts straightened his uniform and looked directly into the camera. When he spoke, his voice was calm but carried the weight of centuries of human determination. "To every world, every species, every civilization listening to this broadcast, I am Admiral Sam Roberts of Earth Defense Command. 6 hours ago, the Zephyrian Empire attacked our homeworld with a fleet of 300 warships. They believed Earth was defenseless. They were wrong." The message continued, but Roberts' words were being heard across the galaxy in real time. On human colonies, people stopped what they were doing to listen. In alien governments, intelligence officers scrambled to record every word. This was history being made. "Earth has stood for over 2,000 years, Roberts continued. "We have watched empires rise and fall among the stars. We welcomed those who came in peace, and we learned from those who came in war. We learned that the galaxy can be a dangerous place. We learned that those who appear weak become targets. Most importantly, we learned patience." Captain Jake Miller finally arrived in the Sol system just as Admiral Roberts' message was being broadcast. The New Horizon had pushed its engines to the breaking point to get home, but Jake was still 12 hours too late to help with the battle. "Kate, are you seeing this?" Jake asked his communications officer as they watched the debris field that had once been the Zephyrian fleet. Lieutenant Kate Brown was staring at her instruments in amazement. "Captain, according to these readings, the battle lasted only 6 hours. Earth didn't just win, they completely destroyed the entire enemy fleet, without losing a single ship." Jake looked out at the Sol system with new eyes. The space stations and satellites that he had grown up seeing looked the same as always, but now he knew the truth. Earth hadn't been defenseless. Earth had been the most heavily defended world in the galaxy, and nobody had known it. Dr. Lisa Grant was frantically recording everything as Admiral Roberts' message reached her distant research station. This was the most important discovery of her career, and possibly the most important moment in galactic history. "Peter, are you understanding what this means?" she asked her assistant. Peter Clark was trying to process the implications. "It means humans aren't the weak newcomers everyone thought they were. It means they've been planning and preparing for centuries." "More than that," Lisa said, watching the data from her instruments. "It means every assumption we've made about human capabilities is wrong. If Earth can hide weapons this powerful, what about the colonies? What about their trade ships? How much of human technology is actually military equipment in disguise? The revelation was spreading through the galaxy like wildfire. Every alien government was suddenly re-evaluating their relationship with humanity. The species they had thought of as young and inexperienced had just demonstrated military capabilities that surpassed anything anyone had imagined. Admiral Roberts continued his broadcast, his words reaching every corner of known space. For 2 centuries we have built our defenses while appearing peaceful. Every space station, every satellite, every piece of civilian infrastructure in our home system was designed to serve 2 purposes. We farmed our worlds and built our cities, but we also prepared for war. Not because we wanted it, but because we knew it would eventually come to us. In the Zephyrian Empire's capital world, emergency meetings were being called. The complete destruction of their invasion fleet was bad enough, but the implications were terrifying. If humans could hide such powerful weapons, what else were they hiding? The invasion fleet is completely gone, reported the Empire's military intelligence chief. Not a single ship escaped. We have no idea how the humans accomplished this. The drone Zephyrian Emperor was an old alien who had conquered dozens of worlds in his lifetime. He had never encountered a defense system like what the humans had just revealed. Send a message to Earth immediately, the Emperor ordered. We seek immediate peace negotiations, whatever the cost. Similar scenes were playing out across the galaxy. Every major power was suddenly very interested in maintaining peaceful relations with humanity. The species that had seemed like easy targets were revealing themselves to be the most dangerous opponents anyone had ever encountered. Admiral Roberts reached the climax of his message, his words carrying across space to billions of listeners. Let this be a lesson to any who would threaten humanity's children among the stars. We are not defenseless, we are not weak, and we are not alone. Every human world, every human ship, every human life is under our protection. We have the patience to appear weak while growing strong. We have the wisdom to prepare for threats before they arrive. And we have the determination to protect our own, no matter the cost. Captain Jake Miller watched Earth's moon as the Admiral's message concluded. He could see the railgun emplacements that had been hidden in the lunar craters, now exposed after their devastating attack on the Zephyrian fleet. The moon that he had seen as a symbol of humanity's peaceful nature was actually the most powerful fortress in the galaxy. Kate, send a message to all colonial defense ships, Jake ordered. Tell them they can return to their patrol duties. Earth is secure. Sir, what do I tell them about what happened here? Jake thought about that for a moment. Tell them that Earth was never as defenseless as it looked. Tell them that humanity is a lot smarter and a lot more dangerous than our enemies realized. Dr. Lisa Grant completed her recording of the battle and Admiral Roberts' speech. As a xenobiologist, she had spent years studying alien life forms. Now she realized she had been studying the wrong species. Humans were the aliens that everyone should have been watching. Peter, we need to get this data back to the university immediately, she said. Every xenobiology textbook in the galaxy is going to need to be rewritten. What are you going to tell them? The truth. That humans aren't the newcomers we thought they were. They're the most advanced military civilization in the galaxy, and they've been hiding it for centuries. The aftermath of Earth's revelation continued to spread through galactic society. Trade agreements were renegotiated, military alliances were reconsidered. Every species that had thought of humans as junior partners suddenly realized they were dealing with equals, or perhaps superiors. Admiral Roberts ended his broadcast with words that would be remembered for generations. To our friends among the stars, know that Earth's strength is dedicated to protecting peace and freedom for all who seek it. To those who would threaten us or our allies, remember what happened here today. Earth remembers every threat, prepares for every possibility, and protects every human life among the stars. This is our promise, and this is our warning. The message ended, but its effects would last for centuries. Humanity had revealed itself not as the weak newcomers to galactic society, but as the species that had been quietly building the ultimate defense while everyone else was looking the other way. In the months that followed, dozens of alien governments would seek peace treaties with Earth. The Zephyrian Empire would become humanity's closest ally. desperate to avoid any future conflicts. Trade with human colonies would increase dramatically, as other species sought to maintain good relations with the galaxy's most dangerous neighbors. But perhaps most importantly, no alien fleet would ever again make the mistake of thinking Earth was defenseless. The galaxy had learned that humanity's greatest strength was not their technology or their numbers. It was their patience, their planning, and their absolute determination to protect their own. Earth had been preparing for this moment for over 200 years. When the test finally came, they had passed with a demonstration that would ensure the safety of every human world for generations to come. The quiet blue planet that appeared so peaceful from space had revealed its true nature. Not just the birthplace of humanity, but its ultimate guardian. And the galaxy would never forget the lesson they had learned about the dangers of underestimating those who appeared weak while growing strong.